Did you know that for this movie, Jim Caviezel experienced a shoulder separation when the 150-pound cross dropped on his shoulder? This scene was used in the movie. So it's Easter weekend, and for a lot of people, it's a time of summer reflection, but also a time of great celebration. A lot of people around this time rewatch The Passion of the Christ, just to remember the life and death and resurrection of Jesus and what Jesus' sacrifice means to the Christian world. And as a Christian myself, this movie had a pretty big impact on me when I finally got to see it. When I was a kid, the grown-ups would always talk about the Passion of the Christ and how it was, super brutal, super hard to watch, but a phenomenal movie. Of course, I didn't get to see the movie until way later in life. It came out when I was only 9 years old, so I didn't get to see this movie right when it came out. When I was finally of age and finally watched this movie for the first time, it was very hard to watch, but at the same time, like, it really hit me. Like, when you read the stories, you picture in your mind of how how it would go. You do your best to picture it. You do your best to imagine the horror and the feelings that Jesus was feeling. But when you actually see it on screen, it hits you in a whole different way. It impacts you in such a deeper way than you can imagine it. And that's how I felt. I've seen the movie twice, and I will probably never see this movie again, just because as great of a movie as it is, it's just super hard for me to watch. I have three things that I love about this movie, and my last thing is definitely my favorite. So the first thing I love about this movie is the creativity. Mel Gibson has always had great vision when it comes to his movies. The Passion of Christ is definitely one of his movies I would put up there as a really, really well done movie. I dare say it's a biblical masterpiece in my opinion. Mel really dove deep into a lot of different sources, a lot of different references, and even artwork to just bring this movie to life. I noticed that he focused a lot on the creativity surrounding Satan, but like how Satan is portrayed in this movie, and Satan is got like extra scenes in the movie, is I don't know how accurate that is. I think that's kind of just Mel is flexing a little bit of his creative muscles there. Scary but creative part of Satan is you see Satan is holding a baby, and the baby looks at Jesus, but the baby has like an old face. Like it's a really scary, weird thing that Mel adds there. It's kind of showing that even Satan cares for a child, and it's all like mocking. It's all has to do with mocking Jesus as well. I don't know if that's even in the Bible. I don't really know where Mel got that idea from. I think when it comes to his creativity and what he chose to put in, I would say it's kind of walking a fine line when you add or subtract stuff, especially something from the Bible, something that you're not supposed to add or subtract anything from the Bible. But I know Mel did extensive research when it came to this movie, and some of the details are not found in the Bible explicitly about what happened. He did pull from the Gospels, the four Gospels, but he also pulled from the Shroud of Turin. He also pulled from the book The Dolores Passion of our Lord Jesus Christ, written by Anne Catherine Emmerich, who was a Roman Catholic mystic of the 1800s, and she claimed to have all these mystical visions of Jesus's crucifixion and all that, and then she wrote it down in this book. And he pulls also some inspirations from famous painters like Rembrandt, Dali, and Bosch. Puts all this stuff together to really show us like the scale of what Jesus went through, and just making it cinematic. He really did make it cinematic. At times there's some beautiful lighting, and there's also some very cinematic shots as well, just to really bring it home of like he wants to punch us in the face with the pain and agony Jesus went through, but just how this moment in human history changed human history for forever. Second thing I loved about this movie is the performances. Jim Caviezel played Jesus, and I do remember back when this came out, he was talking about that he was kind of getting blackballed out of Hollywood because of this. He got some roles later on in life, but I wouldn't say he was like at the forefront. He knew that when he took this role, that he may be faced with a lot of scrutiny, controversy. You know, playing Jesus has always been controversial. That's never going to change. And just how Jim went about portraying Jesus, I really do like the fact that Mel included Aramaic in this movie. Jim speaking Aramaic for most of the movie, really staying true to the source. And then also, I want to say the actress who played Mary did a phenomenal job as well. I mean, like, just imagine being Jesus' mother when she was a teen. She had Jesus, raising him all those years, knowing that he was the Son of God, and then seeing what he had to go through. Even though she knew it was going to happen, she still had to see him go through that. Imagine seeing your kid go through something like this, and there's nothing you could do to stop it. I mean, that's like a mother's worst nightmare, right? Watching your kid just be beaten and humiliated and eventually dying for everyone. So the performances were off the charts. Just Jim did a great job just really getting into the mindset of Jesus. Whenever you see anybody play Jesus, they will always have some stuff to say about how they felt about it. It's definitely not something you just walk into and say, oh yeah, I want to play Jesus today. Like, if you decide to take on a role like Jesus Christ, you better know your stuff, and you got to be humble. There are some crazy things that happen on set with Jim Caviezel, but also just like behind the scenes and all this stuff. So I mean, I always believe that whenever there's a movie or a series that has to do with Jesus, crazy things are going to happen regardless. And then my last thing, my favorite thing, is the accuracy of this movie. Now, this movie is a hard R, and for very good reason. There's lots of brutality. They don't shy away from showing you the excruciating pain that Jesus went through, not just with the flogging scene, but with the crucifixion, the nail. But Mel did say in an interview once that he did want it to be more brutal than that, because as brutal as this movie is, it still does not touch what really happened. If Mel really wanted to show us everything that happened, this movie would be rated NC-17, and it would appeal to a much smaller audience. It would not get as much popularity and money and, you know, notability, notoriety as it does. It was the highest grossing rated R movie for a very long time. It's number 10 on the list still, but for a very long time it was number 1. He showed us as much as he could without crossing the line and making it NC-17. If you look it up, all the science behind crucifixion and the flogging, and then you'll understand why Mel couldn't include every single aspect of every single brutal scene, because he may have not even been able to show that movie. It might have been banned in multiple countries because of just how brutal it is. It's brutal enough as it is, but if he really would have gone what it would have really looked like, this movie probably would have never seen the light of day. But he got as close as he could, and the accuracy is, I would say, very, very close to what happened to Jesus and just seeing it all play out. And it's just emotional. Like, when you watch, like I said, being a Christian, it hits me deep. It hits anyone out there who is a believer, anyone out there who really believes this stuff. It hits you on such a spiritual level. And we know that we never deserve this, yet Jesus still did it for us. So it's just such a phenomenally well-made movie. And I'm very excited. Next year, Easter, Good Friday specifically, we got the sequel coming out, Passion of Christ, The Resurrection. And rumors are it's going to be a two-parter, so this will be part 1. I just can't wait to see what Mel does, how he approaches it, and just continue to tell that amazing story of the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. So for Passion of the Christ, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 Mudflaps. And remember, leave me a thumbs up and drop in the comments below. What is your favorite movie about Jesus? See you soon.